WHAV.
Catch the wave!
Every week on Making Contact, you'll hear voices from the United States and around the globe, speaking on issues vital to all of us.
We report on economic, political, and social trends.
We also look at the issues that drive popular movements globally.
You can hear Making Contact on this non-commercial radio station.
Making Contact, Sunday mornings at 7 on 97.9 WHAV.
Wave weather!
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather. It'll become partly cloudy to clear through the night around the Merrimack Valley. Low temperature 45 to 50. Great day shaping up on Tuesday. Sunshine and blue skies with a few passing clouds. Breezy, warmer, mid-70s. Fair weather at night, low 50s. And mostly sunny and warm Wednesday, 80 to 85. Close to 90 on Thursday. This is Gary Best. You're next to wave weather in 30 minutes.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents The Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco at whav.net.
Well, good Monday evening, everybody, and welcome to The Open Mic. I'm your host, Marc Lemay. Tim is on assignment, we'll say, right? We'll say on assignment.
Sounds like a good excuse.
Why not? I have two great guests tonight. My first guest is sitting right next to me, Russ Conway, racing extraordinaire, former writer for the Trib, the Gazette,
Journal, Haverhill Journal.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah. That's how long.
We can get into that history. And multiple book author. And racing extraordinaire.
A little bit of hockey now.
A little bit of hockey now and again. See, I know a little bit more about racing than I do about the hockey. So we'll talk a little more racing tonight because we are actually here to talk about the obituary that you wrote with about Ken Smith.
Well, actually, his daughter. I was the editor and, let's say, rewrite person. I wrote one originally, and the family chipped in, and the daughter did some things. But Ken was a great guy, a wonderful guy, a wonderful longtime friend. I've known him over 50 years.
How'd you guys meet?
He actually worked for the Haverhill Gazette. He was writing automobile racing at the Pines Speedway in Groveland. How ironic this story is. And I was writing a column for the Haverhill Journal, a racing column. And many years later, here we are. That was in 1963, 64, 65.
Okay.
Here we got involved with Claire Walsh of the Historical Society down in Groveland. And each and every year for, the last 14, we promoted the Pines Speedway reunion, and we will do so again this year on October 7th.
There was I'm going to interrupt your story to tell one of my own. My son was probably about 5, and we moved back up to this neck of the woods, and I found out about the Pines Speedway reunion. Didn't know a thing about the Pines Speedway, but came out, and we were walking around looking at the old cars, of course, 5 years old, loves cars, and loves cars to this day. He's now 18. And about noontime, there was a blessing of the cars. And then so he had the blessing, and then suddenly he said, "Drivers, start your engines."
That's right.
And when the ground vibrates and the gravel dances, you know you've got some horsepower there.
Good way to put it, and then you get the echo of the roar up and down the river.
I can only imagine, and I don't want to dismiss the Ken's story, but I can only imagine what a Friday night or a Saturday night was like across the river.
Yeah, well, across the river, if the wind was blowing right, you could hear them. I grew up on Whittier Road in Haverhill. You could hear 'em. Eddie Schofield had a car, number 110. It was called the stovepipe car, where it had big exhaust pipes right along each side of the car. When he'd back off the throttle, and all of a sudden there'd be this boom, sounded like two cannons going off.
Really?
Of course, the guys driving by him, alongside him, would jump, give him a little angle. But it was a great place, the Pines, and we can talk about it later. But the Pines, to this day, we have a monument that we put down there with various honorees that are featured each year.
Mm-hmm.
But the Pines affected so many lives. I mean, there were literally tens of thousands of people that would go there every year on a Saturday night basis.
Sure.
And it launched many careers.
Such as?
Well, Johnny Thompson, who grew up in Lowell, drove midgets there. And Johnny Thompson went on to sit on the pole, win the pole at Indianapolis in the 500. Another year he finished third in the Indy 500. He was Ken Smith's favorite driver.
Okay.
At the time in the midgets. And Johnny was just phenomenal. Ronnie Bouchard won his first open wheel feature
He's out of
race.
Fitchburg, right?
Fitchburg, yeah. And he went on to win the Talladega 500, run in Daytona. Pete Hamilton ran there. He just passed away. Pete won the Daytona 500 and the Talladega 500 in the same year.
One of the things I like about going to the reunion, and I barely know anybody there, but I just like sitting in on some of the stories.
Oh.
and you hear, names that I don't know. I mean, I know NASCAR, and I know that I go to Lee Speedway every weekend that I can and watch some drivers, whether they're 15 years old or 55 years old, and I don't know who's racing. I just like to watch the races. But to sit in on some of the stories and catch them and the whole point of the reunion is to remember what happened. But every year, the numbers are getting fewer and fewer.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's life,
Right.
isn't it?
Right.
But by the same token, look at Ken this year. I mean, it's so sad. But he had a good run. He really enjoyed it. And he was one of the people that was involved with the Pines right from the beginning. He used to sell popcorn there.
Really?
Popcorn and programs as a kid. His mother, he grew up in Groveland. His mother took him there when John Smith, Paul Starter, built the Pines in 1939-40.
Mm-hmm.
And his mother took him down there, Ken's mother did, in a carriage. He lived not far from the Pines.
Did it have a motor on it?
If he had his way, he probably would have. And his history with the Pines went right back to the beginning, and be it the midgets, and of course later on, he and I and several drivers, Ollie Silva, who was and still is a legend.
Sure.
Not just at the Pines or at Star or in New England, but he won races, Ollie Silva did, with the Big O.
Mm-hmm.
He won from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Hialeah, Florida to California to Ohio. He won everywhere he went, and that's quite an accomplishment for an independent driver. He didn't really have sponsors, didn't want to be controlled, so to speak, but he had a great talent, and he had the ability to entertain. He got it. He understood his place. Very quiet. If you ever met him away from the speedway and didn't know him, the last thing you'd think he was a race driver.
Really?
Yeah. He was. It was agonizing to drive with him on the highway. I mean, he only went about 45 miles an hour. Jeez.
Now, to talk about the history of let's say the Pines or Lee or any of the local tracks, you think back to the history of NASCAR. NASCAR was created because of, rum runners.
That's pretty true. That is true. Bill France was smart enough to seize the moment back in 1948 in Daytona, where they ran on the beach.
Yep.
And stock car racing had taken over midgets. Midgets began to get expensive. They were fast. They were entertaining. They'd run, for example, here in New England 7 nights a week and a couple of day races to boot. Frankie Simonetti, Joe Sestilio was making more money than the President of the United States. Anyway, it went to stock car racing, organized, and that's how NASCAR took off. Here in New England, though, the Pines, for example, built in 1940. There were a number of tracks. Seekonk Speedway,
Sure.
Anthony Venditti built, and the Falcones had Westboro Speedway.
Now, when you say
Thompson-
Falcones, I got to interrupt for a second. Are we talking Pete?
Yeah, well, Pete's father and grandfather.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh,
I mentioned Pete Falcone.
Pete's father, I knew quite well. We did business with him. Ken and I ran super modifieds there.
Okay.
Originally, they ran on Wednesdays, and then we ran special events there. But I'm hopping around a little bit. But the Pines itself affected. It'd be nothing on a Saturday night to have 4,500, 5,000 people there.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, they'd back up across the Groveland Bridge, right up Groveland Street and down Water Street. Or they'd back up Main Street and up 97 in Groveland. Or they'd go the other way on 113. I mean, you had to go early.
Right.
It was otherwise you'd get caught at Haverhill Stadium.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but racing, motorsports, has a lot more competition today for the entertainment dollar.
They have a lot more competition. Stick and ball sports in major cities are covered extremely well. Motorsports are not in major cities, other than if you're in down south.
Well, can we? I mean,
maybe California or Las Vegas.
We were talking off air, and I contend New England is the last bastion of hope for NASCAR.
Well, you got short tracks here that barely making it on a weekly basis, and yet when they have a special event, we started a race years ago. I think it's 54 years now. It's now the Star Classic, but it was the Nesmer Classic and the Can-Am Classic. We started and revived the World Series at Thompson Speedway.
Sure.
Does extremely well. The Classic at Star does well. The Oktoberfest at Lee Speedway we began, Ken and I and Charlie Elliott. And those events, if it's a special, people come.
Right.
Weekly basis, it's hard. And it's also now, for the competitors, getting more and more expensive.
Well, because, and this goes back to the story that I mentioned about stock cars. When NASCAR first started, it was basically you ran the bootleg.
Buddy Baker used to tell great stories. So did Richard Petty. Their fathers would take the family in the car that they ran in the race, and they'd tape up the headlights and the whole thing, and that was the stock car that they would race. Then they take the stuff. Hopefully, didn't get wrecked, and they drive it home.
Yeah, and from that, there was, over the years, it's gone from more of a garage sport, where you've got, and to some extent it still is, I stand corrected. When I say a garage sport, I mean you get guys and gals that work on the cars, Monday through Friday.
Oh, they're passionate. First of all,
and Saturday night it's on the
either
trailer.
Friday night at Lee or Saturday night at Star.
Up at Star, and
that's the wonderful thing. It's a family sport.
Yep.
I just bumped into the McCarthys here in Haverhill. The McCarthy family been in racing for 55, 60 years. I mean, the brothers were, the fathers were. I mean, this is a second and third generation sport for many, many families. I mean, I've seen it for years. After this show we're doing, I'm going to go see Tommy Tomborello. He'll be working on his car, his super modified.
Yep.
And Justin Bellafiore will have a super modified there. And then I think in their home garage they got 3 or 4 cars. And they're very dedicated to that. There have been so many families that come through our sport.
There was last season. I brought both my kids up to Lee USA, and we just sat in the top row and we just watched the cars. And Spence, our old friend John Spence, announced that there was a young lady driving. And when I say young lady, I believe she was all of maybe 15.
Yeah, there have been a few now, and they're good.
And
they're really good.
And her entire pit crew was up on the fence, and tire went down. She went into the pits, and you see a whole bunch of guys, 3, 4, uncle, father, whatever, running down the ramp into the pits, which is outside the track. And they got her back on the track in like 2 laps, and we move on. And so when we talk about it's a family affair, it's not just a family affair in the stands, it's also a family affair in the pits.
Danica Patrick won an IndyCar race, even though in Japan, and she's getting a little better all the time now in NASCAR.
Well, we can talk about Danica.
Well,
she was a little whiny this weekend.
Well, you know, though, the fact is she's been doing it now for a while, and people can make fun of her, but go try that every weekend.
I'm not making fun of her. And in all honesty, I've been one of Danica's biggest fans because when you put a fire suit on, you can't tell if the driver's a male or a female. As long as you can drive, that's a good thing. That doesn't, sex doesn't matter to me. This weekend, she kind of disappointed me, but we can hash that out in a few. My guest right now, Russ Conway. I'm filling in for Tim Coco. I'm your host, Marc Lemay. Back in just a couple of minutes here on WHAV.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
The Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom turns out local programs every day and night. Tune in for local news, Community Spotlight, and the Open Mic Show. 97.9 WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Gary Best. Do you need to know if it's going to be hot or cold, wet or dry? Well, find out every half hour, 7 days a week with WHAV Weather. I'll keep you in touch with up-to-the-minute reports covering the greater Merrimack Valley and beyond. It's WHAV for accurate weather when you want it.
Let's celebrate 20,000 small victories for justice. I'm Bill Newman, and this is the Civil Liberties Minute. For years at a Massachusetts state crime lab, a chemist, Annie Dukin, falsified and fabricated evidence, falsified and fabricated test results, falsified and fabricated her official reports, which resulted in over 20,000 convictions. Yes, over 20,000 convictions based on tainted evidence and fraud. There have been years of litigation, and finally, in April 2017, some justice was finally achieved. 3 months earlier, in January, the Supreme Judicial Court, the state's highest court, ordered the district attorneys across the state to dismiss the cases of the Dukin defendants unless there was some extraordinary reason not to. And in April, the district attorneys did what the court required. So, the convictions are finally gone, but the consequences of them aren't. People have had their careers put on hold. Driver's licenses have been seized. People have been evicted from their housing, and others have been deported because of these convictions. As Matthew Siegel, legal director of the ACLU of Massachusetts, said, quote, "Today is a major victory for justice and fairness and for thousands of people in the Commonwealth who were unfairly convicted of drug offenses. Unfortunately, the victims of this crisis waited far too long for justice." The Civil Liberties Minute is made possible by the ACLU because freedom can't protect itself.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic. I'm your host, Marc Lemay, filling in for Tim tonight, who is on assignment. Russ Conway is to my left, just a racing historian. And we're going to get into a little bit about Star. Hey, we'll call you a racing historian.
I guess. I mean, we've done everything there is to do in racing pretty much.
If you could come up with a better title.
I don't know. Sometimes promoter, sometimes race director.
Sure.
Sometimes reporter.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
owner.
Yeah. Sometimes special event coordinator.
Chief cook and bottle washer.
You know, that's what I always
bathroom
tell people.
cleaner.
I'm in the Hockey Hall of Fame, the Racing Hall of Fame, and the Golf Hall of Shame because I'm a terrible golfer.
We're actually here talking about Ken Smith, who has also had a distinguished career in Haverhill, but also a big race fan.
Oh, fan. We were in business together. I mean,
tell me about the business. When you say you were in business.
We started out June 26, 1965. See that? I still remember it. And Oscar Ridlin was a famous midget car driver and sprint car driver here in New England. He also owned a moving company in Jamaica Plain. He had arms probably looked like hams that you'd have on Easter, okay? And we, and I say we collectively, used to meet. I was a young guy at the Heidelberg in Methuen. That was a local restaurant / place where you could have some beverages. And the drivers would go there on Tuesday nights. Of course, I'd be able to go and talk with them.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, we're saying we need some more money for the purses. Well, Oscar also owned not just Pines and Hudson, he owned Arundel Speedway up in Maine.
Up in Maine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About a mile from Bentley's Saloon, the current place owned by Bentley Warren.
Okay.
Founded by. Anyway, he made an announcement on a Sunday night at Hudson. Anybody goes to race at Arundel is not welcome on Saturday or Sunday at Pines or Hudson. See, they were competing, Arundel was, with Dover Speedway in Dover, New Hampshire. Well, that was basically the spark. And on Tuesday, decided to form the Super Modified Club. It wasn't even called the Super Modified Club. It was just the club,
Mm-hmm.
the Cut-Down Club. And on Friday night, everybody ran Dover Speedway. You had hardly any cars at Arundel.
Now, where was Dover Speedway?
Just in the city of Dover, almost in Somersworth,
Okay.
right off the Spalding Turnpike. And you go into a traffic circle. Route 16 is in there.
Mm-hmm.
And right there, it was a little 5th mile oval. So Bentley Warren won our first feature, okay? 707. Well, anyway, we went to the Pines next night, parked cars across the street from the Pines, and then across the Groveland Haverhill Bridge near what was Miller's Cleaners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Later, Phil Miller was a machinist, but right at the intersection of Lincoln Avenue and crossing of the bridge in Groveland Street. Well, we wanted a payoff that was guaranteed for the summertime. The payoff consisted of 4 spots: $400 to the winner,
Mm-hmm.
$300 for second,
Mm-hmm.
2 $250 for third, and $200 for fourth.
No, this was 65.
That was 1965.
That's a lot of money today. At least I think so.
Well, not to race it isn't anymore.
No, well, $9+ a gallon for racing fuel.
Yeah, right.
Tires aren't cheap either.
Methanol's a little cheaper. But anyway, so they chose the most likely, easiest person to deliver this little sheet of paper to Oscar Ridland. They chose yours truly,
Okay.
a 16-year-old kid at the time. So I go in, and they were already refunding some seats. People had caught on quickly. Tickets, there was a line to buy tickets and a line to get refunds. I'll never forget that. So I walk up to the announcer's stand. I had to climb a few steps
Sure.
behind the start-finish line. And one of the greatest announcers of all time, Danny Wilson, used to work for WHAV.
Okay.
Dennis Clow. He was there, and he's looking, and it's warm-ups, right, practice time. And he said, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "I'm looking for Oscar." He said, "The boss isn't too happy tonight. I'd be careful." And I said, "Yeah, I figured that much." Just then he says, "Here he comes now." He's walking down toward the announcer's tower from the ticket office where they're refunding tickets. He comes up the steps, and as he gets closer and closer, he's looking bigger and bigger to me. He had those big arms, that's for sure. And he said, "What do you want?" I said, "Well, Oscar, the boys wanted me to deliver this to you." And I give him the piece of paper. He glances at it for about 3 seconds, takes that big paw of his, that right hand, and just crunches it up into a little ball, throws it off the announcer's stand. And frankly, I thought he was going to throw me over next. So he grabs me by the arm, down the steps, out to 2 policemen right at the gate. And he looks at him and says, "Take this little punk out to the street, and I never want to see him again, and you'll never write another word in a newspaper. You got to get out of here." So they take me by my arms out to the street. Kenny Smith's across the street, all the cars are there, a group of guys, and they're all looking at me. And the 2 policemen are holding on to my arms. And Ken yells, one of them goes out in the street and stops traffic so I can cross the street. Kenny yells over to me, "Well, I guess he said no."
What was the note?
The note was the payoff. That's what we wanted. 4, 3, 2, 1. And I say we, the drivers
Right.
and car owners. So that was that. So we decided to make Dover Speedway our home. We didn't know what we were doing. And we promoted flyers and things in the paper. Of course, I'm the writer, okay? I write, hey, they want to...
No such thing as conflict of interest.
Oh, heck no. Are you kidding? I cared about racing, good racing. So you're absolutely right about that. So we end up publicizing it, and Dover Speedway starts filling up quick.
Okay.
And now they're following these drivers. And we ended up going to Seekonk to run a special race. And then we got a second place to run 4 or 5 races in Westboro.
Okay.
And we'd run there. We'd run Dover. We switched to Saturday nights, and we'd run Westboro Wednesdays. So
Midweek racing.
Yeah, midweek racing.
You never hear that today.
Running. We weren't running for much of a purse. We were getting, I think, $8,000 or $1,000 total. Well, anyway, Charlie Elliott came to us. He was the one that was basically leasing Dover Speedway, and said, "I found some land in Epping." It was called the Epping Brickyard. And they made bricks. Star Brickyard. That's what it was. The
Okay.
Star Brick.
I see where this story's
That's how
going.
Star got named. So he clears the land, builds a racetrack, and now his rival, Bob Bonza, came to us at Lee Speedway, and he had built a triangle there. So he booked us for the last 3 races of the season. Now we were really going. Long story short, Star became very famous. Bonza who owned Lee, got angry at us for running 6 miles down the street. We finally left Lee and went to Star and really built the place. It became internationally famous, I mean, in Canada as well as here. I mean, an average Saturday night crowd to get 5,000, 5,500 was nothing.
Nice.
Place sat over 6, and it just kept throwing money back into it. And the super modified, the quality of racing really got good. And we had a secondary division, which later became Pro Stocks years later, and a third division, which was basically your Daredevil stock car division.
Sure.
But we were promoting it heavily. And then we had the Classic. The first one had been at Lee, and the second one. Well, the third one was at Star. Between Ollie Silver, we had we had 2 co-stars that were just terrific. Ollie Silver wore the white hat, Don McLaren wore the black hat, and great co-stars. Eddie West, Howard Brown, I mean, on and on I could go. Dick Batchelder, Jimmy Martell in the late models. We had drivers come in from Canada, from Florida, from Minnesota. We had 2 rear engines cars come in from Vancouver and Victoria, British Columbia.
Wow.
Then my connection with the Bruins started to click, so to speak. We started having Boston Bruins days after the season and nights. And we'd put them in super modifieds and let them race. And it got up to 14, 15 of them. And, I mean, people would come. My idea to that was people that were hockey fans
Right.
would come to a race.
Sure.
And once they saw the action, they would keep
They were
coming.
hooked.
And that's exactly what happened.
They were hooked. Russ Conway is my guest. Russ is going to stick with us for another half hour or so. We have other guests coming up at 7:30 from the Sons of Italy here in Haverhill. We'll be talking with them at about 7:30. Open lines at 8 o'clock. We're going to take a quick time out for news. We'll be back on the other side here on the Open Mic.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:01.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening in local news. There were many emotions expressed by past players and coaches as Haverhill High School inaugurated its Athletic Hall of Fame Saturday night. One inductee who reflected on the whole range of emotions was Major League Baseball player Carlos Pena, a 1995 graduate who went on to play professional baseball 14 years. He discussed his first days in Haverhill after emigrating with his family from the Dominican Republic.
We get embraced by this beautiful community that make us feel so much at home, so much like a family, that we just could not believe it. The same feeling I got when I walked through those doors right now. We got overwhelmed by love.
Pena retired in 2014 after 14 seasons and a career of 286 home runs. Before baseball, he tried track and swimming. To cheers of laughter, he humorously referred to another little-known record of his at Haverhill High.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a record. I'm the only swim team member in the history of Haverhill High School who never wore a Speedo. Never. I wore my baggies, man. My baggies. The whole time.
Pena, now at ESPN, said he did not excel at track or swimming, but he learned valuable lessons.
And eventually I went on to play professional baseball, and that was an amazing journey. And let me tell you, many times it was extremely difficult. It's like you drift so far away from home, chasing this dream. And it's hard, and you're on your own out there. And everything that you take is just these experiences, these interactions that we had when we were young that prepared me for those moments.
WHAV broadcast the ceremonies live over 97.9 FM with 25-year veteran sports writer Hector Longo from the New Hunking School. Most of the 11 inductees came from out of town with their families, and athletic director Thomas O'Brien brought them up to speed.
Football team this past year went undefeated in the conference, won the conference championship, and was ranked number 3 in the state at one point during the year. So Hilly football's back for sure.
O'Brien said he's been most pleased by increased participation in the school's athletic programs. Some moving moments came during the induction of 60-year coach and athletic director John Ottaviani. Beginning at Haverhill High School in 1963 as a physical education instructor, Coach O credited others with helping him when the sports program was endangered by budget cuts related to the tax-cutting measure Proposition 2.5.
I also had a right-hand man named Dante Goby Sr. Dante was my right-hand man. When we ran the cow chip contest when I was AD, we made $36,000 on it on a Friday night, waiting for the cow to do what it didn't do. We had to pull the name out of a hat.
The induction ceremony featured announcer John McCauley as Master of Ceremonies. Besides Pena and Ottaviani, 9 others were inducted. A full list is at WHAV.net. WHAV will rebroadcast highlights of the ceremony in the near future. For more than a decade, Mayor James J. Fiorentini has devoted unflagging determination and effort to transform an abandoned rail line into a riverside promenade, according to city councilors. As the pieces of his dream come together, councilors are preparing to honor the mayor's dedication by naming the rail trail in his honor. Councilor William Masick is presenting an order asking his colleagues to rename the Bradford Rail Trail for Fiorentini. The full order states that the full length of the Bradford Rail Trail on the southerly side of the Merrimack River from the Basilia Bridge to the Como Bridge, currently existing or contemplated in the future, shall be dedicated and named as the Mayor James J. Fiorentini Bradford Rail Trail. In Fiorentini's 2010 State of the City address, the mayor said he looked forward to the day our children and grandchildren will be able to walk along our own string of parks and walkways along the river. And we will never forget the river. Our greatest asset belongs to all of us. Since raising the idea of the Riverside Trail, the mayor has worked with volunteers, local and state politicians, business owners, service organizations, and the school department to find ways to buy, clear, construct, and beautify the trail, bit by bit and piece by piece. The City Council meets Tuesday, May 16th, beginning at 7 o'clock in the Theodore A. Pelosi Council Chambers on the second floor of City Hall. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net. In the Edwin B. Johnson newsroom, this is Tim Coco.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. North Korea claims its new missile is capable of carrying a nuclear warhead and that it may be able to target the U.S. mainland. The U.S. State Department is accusing the regime of Bashar al-Assad of building a crematorium to cover up the evidence of war crimes at a military prison. And on his first full day in the job, new French President Emmanuel Macron has named his prime minister.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with Wave Weather. It'll become partly cloudy to clear through the night around the Merrimack Valley. Low temperature 45 to 50. Great day shaping up on Tuesday. Sunshine and blue skies with a few passing clouds. Breezy, warmer, mid-70s. Fair weather at night, low 50s. And mostly sunny and warm Wednesday, 80 to 85. Close to 90 on Thursday. This is Gary Best. You're next to Wave Weather in 30 minutes.
Public radio for Greater Haverhill. This is 97.9 WHAV.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Well, if I'm going to fill in for Tim, it's going to be on a night when we're talking racing and we're talking Ken Smith. And I'm here with Russ Conway here on the open mic. And again, you know, we're talking off air about a few stories. The regional headquarters of.
Well, after the days of the Heidelberg, Oriental Garden in Haverhill wasn't Oriental Garden anymore. It became NESMRA National Headquarters. And everybody, not just in Haverhill, but around not only New England, the country, would always, when they come to Star, would have to go to NESMRA National Headquarters, Oriental Gardens. Many, many major decisions were made there. We'd meet there every Friday night. Ken would sometimes bring Ed Cody from the bank, different bank people. But one year, we decided we were going to have a big event. So he told me to meet him there. And at first, it was going to be a 3-race series.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could win all 3, it'd be $5,000 bonus.
And this is when again?
1974.
$5,000, a lot of money.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So then, about 8 o'clock, it was a 4-race series.
Same night, though.
Yeah. And about 10 o'clock, it was a 5-race series. And by the time we walked out at last call, it was a 7-race series, and anybody could win all 7 would get $50,000. If you could win 2, you get 5. If you could win 3, you get 10. I mean, we said, we'll get this insured by Lloyd's of London. No problem.
Did anybody win it?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Eddie Whitcomb, pretty good race driver, a real good race driver over the years. He won 2 of the first 3.
Ooh.
Okay? So we knew the 7 was out, but there was a lot of money on the line. The problem was Lloyd's of London wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. No, so we're insuring ourselves, self-insured. And our other partner, Charlie Elliott, is looking at Ken and I. He says, "What are you going to do when he wins 5 or 6? I let you guys go free. You go out like a bunch of drunken sailors. Don't ever do this again. What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I know a sniper in the FBI, maybe, you know." So, anyways, Whitcomb won on the last day, and it was the same day that we had a big modified race that had got rained out earlier in the year. We ran the race in November, after Thompson. Well, Whitcomb won his second race, then he got the bonus. He got the 5. I had to give him a check. We didn't have enough money because it was in November, a real cold day, you know. And we got these 2 big races going on. I think the nut for the show was like 35, 40 grand.
Wow.
And, you know, Ken looks at me, I look at him, he said, "Look, ask Eddie, he'll take a check." I gave it to him. I said, "Don't cash this the Monday afternoon."
Not yet.
No, hey, sometimes it happened. But Oriental Gardens was the place for years that we made big decisions. And then DeBurrows in Haverhill, we had all of our banquets there.
Yeah.
Pat and Henry and the boys, they treated us really well. And the spin-off of that, all the racing people, the weddings and everything, mercy meals, whatever.
Sure.
Speaking of which, Ken's
I was gonna mention that.
Ken's wake is going to be at the Rogers Funeral Home in Monument Square in Haverhill on June 5th. That's a Tuesday, June 5th.
No, it's June 6th.
I'm sorry, Tuesday, June 6th.
Yeah, you want?
Thank you.
You want my cheat sheet?
Thank you. Yeah. I've been doing so much; it's unbelievable. Yeah, June 6th. And it's 2 to 4 and 7 to 9.
5 to 8.
5 to 8, okay. Well,
I'll fill in the
show
blanks.
up a little bit.
I'm sure, something like this, I'm guessing there might not be that much of a lapse between the 2.
Yeah, probably not. And the next day, just as Ken would want it, Okay, because he always had the racing functions. We enjoyed the boroughs so much, and the bank functions.
Sure.
We're going to have a celebration of life on that Wednesday, June 7th, at the boroughs. In fact, people can say a few words for 7 o'clock, family, friends, and we're going to make a nice send-off for Ken. I'm sure he'd be proud.
And if you'd like to make a donation, contributions can be made to the Emmaus House here in Haverhill, the Kendall Craig Smith Scholarship Fund over at Haverhill High School, the Northeast Motorsports Museum in Ipswich.
It's actually in Loudon, but in Ipswich we'll have something to hand out.
Well, because we can talk about the museum, because has it opened yet?
It's going to open right after Ken's Mercy.
That's sort of why I mentioned Ipswich, because I wasn't sure if it was officially. I know you guys have been working
Friday,
hard up there.
Saturday, Sunday, 9th, 10th, and 11th of June at the museum on Route 106, right at New Hampshire
Right at the
Motor
Speedway,
yeah.
A couple other places if you'd like to make a donation. Northern Essex Community College Foundation, the Pines Speedway reunion, of course, over in Groveland, the Rotary Club here in Haverhill as well. A number of different aspects of Ken's life all represented in those groups.
He was so active. There wasn't a charity he ever missed. I mean, between the he was active in all sorts of charities, all the racing, all fundraisers. It was amazing. The things he really accomplished a lot. And the best characteristic about Ken Smith was he was just a down-to-earth, fun, nice guy, and just a great friend of mine, and loved racing with a passion. And his family, and certainly, you know, he had a son and daughter. He'd take them to Disney World, and I forget, I mix them up, in Orlando, but
that's the world.
Yeah, that's the one. Only Ken would, in his president's office of the bank, and he grew the bank big, Pentucket, he had 2 big 3-foot, 4-foot dolls, one a Mickey Mouse and one a Minnie Mouse.
Okay.
Only Ken could get away with that.
Well, when nothing goes right, go
left.
We're going to talk a little bit more about motorsports. Russ Conway is our guest. I'm Marc Lemay, filling in for Tim Coco here on the Open Mic. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes here on WHAV.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Those Boston stations don't always understand weather in the Merrimack Valley. Stay informed with WAVE weather every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day on Soft Gold WHAV.
If you're looking not only to make money, but also to make a difference, 97.9 WHAV wants you. WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source, seeks enthusiastic, creative, and disciplined on-air underwriting and web advertising representatives. Account executives are responsible for developing and supporting WHAV's radio, digital, and non-traditional sales and development strategy. Prior sales experience is desired, but some training will be provided. Receive a generous and above-average commission rate and opportunities for growth. To apply, visit WHAV.net and click Contact and scroll down to Jobs. Otherwise, call 978-374-2111, extension 111. That's 978-374-2111, extension 111. Make money and make a difference at 97.9 WHAV.
Community Spotlight.
Haverhill seniors and Americans with Disability Act eligible residents can obtain transportation from Monday appointments to Leahy Clinic in Peabody, as well as several Boston hospitals. The cost is $8 one way or $16 round trip. Companions may accompany individuals for $4 one way or $8 round trip. For more information or to schedule a ride, contact the Merrimack Valley Regional Transit Authority at 978-469-6878, option 3, or Haverhill Council on Aging at 978-374-2390, extensions 11 or 16. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email news@WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Diane Carr.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Marc Lemay in for Tim Coco tonight here on the Open Mic on WHAV. With all due respect, Russ, when Tim told me you'd be my guest tonight, I was a happy man.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad to be with you.
It's, talking motorsports, we could kill another hour.
Another hour? How about sunrise?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of history here between you and Ken Smith, and one of the things I wanted to talk about before we got off the air was about the Racing Museum.
Well, it's the Northeast Motorsports Museum, right down the street from the Speedway. You can't miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Berggren is the vision behind it, so to speak. He gathered a few people together back about 7-8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And wanted to build a museum. We didn't know where it was going to be exactly. And I suggested Ken be the treasurer, and we brought aboard Ron Bouchard and Bentley Warren and a whole lot of donors and a lot of great people that have stepped up to help out. The list is so long, but it's a beautiful, if you like motorsports, any type of motorsports. I mean, there's drag racing,
sure,
there's snowmobiles, there's even soapbox.
Well, because motorsports is more than just NASCAR.
Oh, way more. I laugh all the time. People say, well, I don't follow NASCAR. I say, yeah, but do you follow racing?
Right.
And it's like, do you follow hockey? Well, it's not just the National Hockey League,
right?
Right. This place is truly a shrine, if you will, for motorsports in the Northeast.
Sure.
And it'll be on a revolving basis where, it changes. A lot of the exhibits will change every 6 to 9 months. It's similar to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto.
Right.
And some people will recognize immediately some of these great cars, but they go deep into the past, right up to the last 10 years or so.
Okay.
And there's just so many photos and so many things that mean so much to our sport. You don't have to be a big race fan. You bring a kid in there, there's things for kids. But if you bring in your grandkids, your neighbors, your friends, and it's very inexpensive. I mean, it's not going to cost too much
money to get in. Well, that's the thing is, up until, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, up until, a couple of years ago, the museum was more mobile, wasn't it? It was, because I think we'd see the
NIA Museum was in a trailer, still is.
Right.
Okay, the Hall of Fame Museum, if you will. This is a permanent place.
Right.
Okay, a 10,000 square foot building, of which we already have plans, believe it or not, for another 10,000 feet.
Well, you got to figure if you keep inheriting cars for the exhibit, you're going to need places to store them.
We've already got, there's 29 cars up there right now. And plus all like helmet display that's incredible, photo display, trophies, my word. We got Daytona 500 championship trophies, Talladega championship trophies, Indy 500 things, all sorts of, really. It's,
all through, all New
ages.
England drivers.
Yeah, all New England drivers, Northeast drivers. And some of the cars are unbelievable.
Sure.
Of course, the famous Ollie Silver Zero has got a special place in my heart.
Probably has a special place in the museum, too.
Well, Ken and I were both part owners of that car.
What haven't you owned in motorsports?
No, but, this was after Ollie retired, okay, and get rebuilt. And you know what? It's right next to a car that Joe Sestilio used to run. Joe Sestilio was a fantastic midget car driver. And to see those two next to each other, number 54, Hoffy, and it's just beautiful. And for people on both a nice day and a rainy day, it's from where we're sitting right now, it's no more than an hour away.
Right.
Okay, probably 45 minutes actually. And it's you can spend the whole day there if you wanted to.
Sure.
It's just beautiful place.
So when's it opening up?
It opens on the 9th, Friday night the 9th. We have a VIP gala, they call it. I just call it a party like Ken would. Okay. And
makes it sound all fancy when you say gala.
You know what? My feet are on the ground. I'm not wearing any tuxedo, that's for sure. So then on the 10th for members, and the 11th, on Sunday the 11th of June, it's for the general public. And then we'll be open pretty much on a daily basis.
What's the ticket to get in?
I think we haven't arrived on a number yet, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be around $10. Okay? And I think kids are going to have a special price, as are seniors.
Sure.
I know the Hockey Hall of Fame well, obviously, being a little bit of a resident there.
A little bit.
But, when I go in there, it's like I'm a kid on Christmas morning.
Sure.
And it hardly costs anything. They draw 500,000-600,000 people a year. And everybody that I have sent there have got back to me and said, wow, I didn't expect that. Or, wow, you know what I saw there? Well, it's the same with our museum. It's right on Route 106.
Sure. Right
up next to New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Is it on the property of the Speedway?
Yes, it is. There's a
Have they
shell.
been supportive?
Oh, very extremely supportive. They gave us the land for $1 for 95 years, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mr. Smith was...
oh, yes, very, very supportive. I'm
Good.
glad you brought that up. It's right next to the Shell station. There's a Shell station with a Gulf right across the street, and it's only 300 feet up from there.
I'm always amazed as to how they get 140,000 fans in and out of there for the races.
Well, they do pretty well. They'll do, on race day, they'll do 90 to 100 for sure.
But the road is, it basically...
The state did
It's 125.
Help. Yeah, but the state, no, they added an extra lane.
They did?
There. Yeah, sure.
Because when I went up a couple of years ago for my Father's Day present was a ride-along with the Richard Petty experience.
He's a great guy, Richard Petty. He raced for us.
And I drove up there with my son, and I'm like, they actually get 100,000 people in and out of here on a two-lane road.
I've heard that from people for years, It's funny you brought up Richard Petty. I got to tell you, we had the good fortune of having him race for us a few times.
Really?
We were the only non-NASCAR people he ever raced for.
Did he always wear the cowboy hat?
Yeah, he gave me one.
Really?
He gave me one as a gift. But I must tell you how I signed, I shouldn't say signed, how we agreed. I went to Atlanta, to an Atlanta 500. We had this idea of the Budweiser Showdown of Champions. We had Buddy Baker and Ron Bouchard the first year, and I said, let's get Richard Petty. And they're all looking at me like I'm crazy. Anyways, I go to Atlanta, set up to meet him, and one of his people who I knew, used to work for Richie Evans, said, geez, he just went to church in the chapel in the garage area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I get my way in there, and I kind of squeeze through one guy and squeeze through another, and I get right next to him. I'm standing right next to him as I'm sitting next to you.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was all over, he looks at me and says, this must be awful important for you to go to church with me. So I had an envelope. I told him about the showdown. Had an envelope, and we ended up, I brought it out and I explained what it was for, and I said, now, if you would sign this contract. He says, I ain't signing no contract like that. And I said, really? No, but I'll be there. I'm coming. I told Buddy Baker, I'm coming for sure. And I said, well, wonder if we get rained out or something. He says, well, I'll pay your flight and give you some money. No, I don't like to fly, actually. He said, I'm driving there with my wife. He said, give me $200 for gas. This is Richard Petty. I kid you not. Finally, I said to him, I said, well, can you sign this? He said, I told you, I'll give you my contract. He sticks his right hand out, shakes my hand, and said, now look, give me that pen. And on the back of the envelope, he writes a number. He says, this is my home phone. And he writes another one. This is my shop. This is my secretary. You call me whenever you want, whatever you need. I'll try to help you. Of course, we race a lot. But I said, I know that, right? Because we needed paint.
Right.
And he said, the only thing is I need a Pontiac because they were the sponsors at the time. That man came up here. He did everything he promised he would do. He raced hard. The following year, the same thing. And we're at Thompson, Connecticut. It looked like a snake line at Disney World for autographs. He comes in. By then, it's 10 minutes at 2 in the morning. Signed every autograph after racing. And I looked at him. I never collect autographs. I'm not a collector, thankfully. But some people, hockey people in particular, give me things, all right? I said, Richard, would you sign this? Ken Smith looks at me. He said, leave the poor guy alone. He says, man, I mean, he's signed enough. And Petty looks at both of us. He said, you know what? I got to tell you. When the day comes, I go to the big speedway up in the sky, and the Undertaker is just going to be closing up the box. And he's going to open it up and say, Richard, can I just have one more autograph?
Celebrating the life of Ken Smith on Tuesday, June 6th, 2017, 2 to 4, 5 to 8, Paul C. Rogers Funeral Home, and then a celebration of life on Wednesday, June 7th, between 4 to 8 over at DeBarros. Russ Conway, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Well, my pleasure.
Thank you.
The pleasure's mine.
And I'll hopefully catch you up at the track, and we'll bother Spence this season.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely have some fun with John. Come on up, Lee. Lee runs on Friday nights. Star runs on Saturday nights. And, that's racing.
It's the best ticket money can buy.
Exactly.
Russ, thank you so much. We're going to take a quick time out. Back on the other side with more of the Open Mic here on WHAV.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:32.
Why pay $250 to $350 a year for half as much news, on air and online? 97.9 WHAV provides more Greater Haverhill news more often than any other sources combined. Support the only Haverhill-based news source with your tax-deductible local news membership by clicking on the membership tab at whav.net.
Catch the wave!
Suspense, a weekly anthology of notable melodramas from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented every Monday night to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense. Listen to the new Suspense with a company of Hollywood actors and surprising guest stars, Monday nights at 10, with encore performances at 1 a.m., right here on WHAV. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather!
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather. It'll become partly cloudy to clear through the night around the Merrimack Valley. Low temperature 45 to 50. Great day shaping up on Tuesday. Sunshine and blue skies with a few passing clouds. Breezy, warmer, mid-70s. Fair weather at night, low 50s. And mostly sunny and warm Wednesday, 80 to 85. Close to 90 on Thursday. This is Gary Best. You're next to wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco at whav.net.
Here on the Open Mic, we went from motorsports to now community service. Marc Lemay here for Tim Coco, who's on assignment tonight here on the Open Mic. We'll do open lines after 8 o'clock. Get your thoughts and comments on whatever's on your mind. We'll start open lines after 8 o'clock here on HAV. Nick and Anthony are sitting next to me. Introduce yourselves, folks.
So, I'm Anthony LeConte. I'm the Vice President of the Victor Emmanuel Lodge, Order of Sons of Italy.
And I am our recording secretary, Nicholas Thompson.
All right. Victor Emmanuel Lodge, 1646 over on Washington Street in Haverhill. First off, what is the Sons of Italy?
The Sons of Italy is a fraternal organization. It's comprised of members of social and Italian heritage that want to promote Italian heritage and throughout the community.
Okay.
We were formed as a society in 1891. In the city of Haverhill. Mm-hmm. So we've been around for about 125 years, which is kind of nice. We decided to join the order in 1932. Okay. So that we were originally just like a regular society.
Okay.
So it was kind of nice, and then we just joined the Order of the Sons of Italy. So,
okay.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of the Sons of Italy?
There's three actual purposes. It's, equality, liberty, and fraternity. Mm-hmm. So we promote fraternal organization as charity. We strive for the liberty of Italians. Back in 1891, in that time frame, Italians were really persecuted for being Italian. So the order was founded to promote Italian culture and the positive side of it.
Yeah, so back in the day, our mission was very different. As Nino said, Italians were very persecuted. A lot of people came over, they didn't know how to speak English, they didn't know how to read and write, even in Italian.
Okay.
So back in that era, our main purpose was to, help these people assimilate the way that we Americans want every social group that comes in, so that we take the best of their culture and they take the best of ours. And over time, that mission changed as we had more support systems from, the state and federal governments. And now we have more of a focus on, as Nino said, support, promoting Italian heritage, never forgetting who we are, being a family of friends for people who don't necessarily have one, don't really have a family. So that is our most important mission right now, to be a charity, to put ourselves out there.
Okay. How many members?
We have about 180 members right now.
One of the things, and I'm going to mention another Italian organization, the Feast of the Three Saints over
Yes.
in Lawrence.
Yes.
Great,
fans.
great
Big
group
fans.
of folks. One of the things they're noticing is that as their members get older, getting the younger folks involved is not as easy as it was back when they got involved, because again, there was that Italian pride, there was that family aspect to it. Are you guys seeing that with Sons of Italy?
We are in the terms of the organization itself. However, I still say our Drum and Bugle Corps, one of our major branches of the lodge, is still a lot hard going strong, and a lot of young members are joining the drum corps. And part of joining the drum corps is that you should become a member of the lodge.
What is the drum corps?
The drum corps. That's a good question.
Besides the fact that I hear it echo across the river when you guys are performing or practicing.
Yeah, practice is Monday night, so anybody wants to join, they can come down right now. But we are the Sons of Italy Drum and Bugle Corps. We were formed in 1939, and we perform all across New England. We've actually performed. We've been on national television once for a parade in 4th of July parade.
Okay.
We also played for Governor Salucci.
Okay.
For his inauguration. So that was broadcast throughout the state of Massachusetts too.
Okay.
So we just a group of members, not even Italians. You don't have to be Italian to join the drum corps.
That was.
You don't have to be. Anybody can join. You don't even know how to need to play an instrument. We teach it all. We teach the drums. We teach the bugles. We do it all.
Why?
Why? Because we love doing it.
I don't want to sound insensitive, but
It's a legitimate question. We get that a lot, in fact. You'd be
If you don't
surprised.
if you don't know how to play an instrument, but yet you want to play the drums, you can join the
join the group, and you don't even have to, there's no cost to any members.
Okay.
All the uniforms are provided, and almost after every parade or whatever, we feed. So
Okay.
there's no food, and we provide transportation.
Okay.
A lot of the bands now these days don't provide transportation, so that's a key factor. You know, everybody says, "Oh, you have to get yourself to the parade." No, we rent the bus and we drive everybody to the parade.
And then there's Italian food afterwards.
And there's sometimes Italian food, yes,
How bad
most
is
of the time.
Right? You know, and I think that's the same theme of family. You know, it really unites people. You know, and we have members who aren't Italian. We have members who are Hindu. We have members from all across the spectrum that you would never expect to join an Italian organization. I think that is part of our strength.
Well, that was my next question. Do you have to be Italian to join the Sons of Italy?
You do not.
Okay.
There are very few restrictions if you're not Italian. So offices like Anthony and I are, you do have to be Italian, so that the very higher echelons, you either have to be Italian or married to someone who's Italian.
Okay.
One of our
So you got to kind of be made.
Yeah. You know, in fact, one of the Massachusetts, one of the Sons of Italy lodges, one of our most respected presidents is full-blood Irish. But because his wife is Italian, he has the in
He
there.
snuck in.
But if you aren't Italian and you're not married to someone who's Italian, you can still participate in anything else.
Okay.
You can still come to a meeting and voice, your opinions. You can still vote. You know, you have a say. It's just that the upper end of leadership is the only restriction.
We're going to talk about your gratitude and service, but what are some of the other community aspects of Sons of Italy? Would people know or should know?
So the only other thing right now, unfortunately, that we're really known for is our 45s tournaments. So
we could talk about that because I do know a few folks of the Italian persuasion who could drive a car and play this game at the same time.
Yeah.
I have never,
Yes.
I have never understood 45s.
I have to admit that I'm an outsider in that respect. I might be Italian, but I never got into the game.
I got a few friends, Mike Lamazzo and Tom Zappola and those guys. They've hosted radio shows while playing that game.
Yeah,
really.
It's a fun game. I was taught about 5 years old,
Really?
and that's when I believe. A lot of people are taught. I was taught by my grandparents at 5.
Now, is that a Merrimack Valley thing?
It is. It really is.
So if you go to a Sons of Italy anywhere else, you're not going to...
They would have no idea what you're talking about.
They would have no idea what
But me and
45s is.
I've been to. So we have a big convention, the Order of Sons of Italy in Grand Lodge, and I've played 45s with Lawrence, the Lawrence Lodge.
Sure.
So they're But
So
everybody else is looking at us like this. It's definitely
a
Merrimack Valley. Yep.
Well, the funny thing is, there is a cluster of people who know how to play 45s in Florida. Because so many people from the Merrimack Valley snowbirds have gone down. So it is spreading, but it is such an eclectic game in its own right.
I've tried to be taught
I have too. It's so tough. If you don't start young.
I don't get it.
Well, yeah, so we do have those on Wednesday nights,
Okay.
starting at, I think, 7 o'clock.
And then Friday nights, except for the summer. So
During the
that'll be
summer.
starting back up about September.
Okay.
So, yeah, we do those every week.
I'm glad it wasn't me.
Exactly.
I would watch those guys play, and I'd be like, I don't get it.
Oh, 100%. Unfortunately right now, those are the two things that we are known for is the drum corps and the 45s. There isn't, it's still a lot in its own way.
nothing wrong
but
with that.
That's exactly why we're starting to put ourselves out there. We've had an influx of young people recently. We finally have the opportunity to spread our wings again.
Right.
So, we're excited to be known for other things in the near future.
Okay. We're going to take a quick time out. We are going to talk about one of the projects you are working on, Gratitude and Service, a dinner coming up on Saturday, May 20th. We're going to talk about that. When we come back from the break, it is the open mic. It is WHAV.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Public radio for Greater Haverhill. This is 97.9 WHAV. Your hometown is a different type of talk show. It's not just about the topic at hand. It's about the passion and the people and the community that are behind that topic, that are involved with that topic. That is what your hometown is all about.
Your Hometown with Marc Lemay, Friday nights at 6:30 on 97.9 FM WHAV.
Insight Daily Radio.
From food to fashion, science to tech talk, or for just plain fun, we've got you covered. From the art of all things, here's Lasana Jeffries.
William Shakespeare is widely regarded as history's finest playwright, if not the most acclaimed writer in the entire English language. When Shakespeare wrote his plays in the late 16th and early 17th centuries, he wrote them quickly and in fragments, handing scraps of paper to the actors to memorize. The publication of his plays didn't occur until after his death, and they were based on those script fragments. How many plays? A total of 36, but historians think there may have been 2 more Shakespeare plays. In 1598, English author Francis Mears wrote one of the first books about Shakespeare, Palladius Tamia. It lists nearly all of Shakespeare's known 36 plays, along with one called Love's Labour's Won, a sequel to Love's Labour's Lost. But Mears failed to include The Taming of the Shrew, leading scholars to believe for nearly 400 years that Shrew and Won were the same play. They were wrong. In 1958, a 1600-era list of Shakespeare's plays was discovered that listed both The Taming of the Shrew and Love's Labour's Won. Shakespeare often built his plays on previous existing works. For example, Hamlet is based on the Spanish tragedy by playwright Thomas Kyd. Cardenio was an adaptation of Miguel de Cervantes' 1605 novel Don Quixote. There is a record of the play being produced in 1613 by the King's Men, Shakespeare's theater troupe. The script has never been found. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow. Thanks for listening. I'm Lasana Jeffries.
Insight Daily Radio.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And we're back on the open mic. And I'm Marc Lemay, in for Tim Coco tonight. He's on assignment. We're talking with Nick and Anthony from the Victor Emmanuel Lodge, Order of the Sons of Italy, 1646. You might have seen their building downtown. Apparently, there's a story behind the color of the building.
As you're right, Mark. As you were saying, for the color is purple. When we picked up color, we were kind of choose something a little different to be noticed because we've been downtown since 1964, and the building looked a little old, and our awning was ripped, and we had a gracious donation from a member for a new awning, so we said, well, might as well paint the colors, and the official colors of Italy is purple and gold.
Really?
So that's what we went with for the building colors, just purple and gold.
Purple and gold.
You will see them sometimes in the FIFA World Cup. The Italians will be wearing purple jerseys, not blue.
Okay.
Blue or purple, but most of the time it's
And you
purple.
picked the color.
And I did. I was the one personally picking the color, so if you want to send email addresses, that's fine. My name's nowhere there.
I didn't really notice it until you actually brought it up tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought it was a purple building.
No,
But there's a story behind it.
It's the official colors of Italy. So.
Okay. So you have an event going on Saturday, May 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. Gratitude in Service. Talk a little bit about that.
So, one of those things we were talking about, looking for a new purpose going forward to put ourselves out there and really do good. Like all great ideas, we were sitting around having beers, and we were like, what's a good way to make
It's a
things
great
better?
idea if it's around beer.
Oh, 100%.
It makes sense after 2 or 3.
Exactly. So we were looking at the news, and we're like, things are heating up in South Korea a little bit. And one of our co-founders for this event, Erica Wood, her husband is deployed in that region. And so we're like, okay, so we have the connections. We have a good reason, help these guys out. Let's do something. We have the connections. We have the way to put it out there. Let's just do it.
Okay.
There's no reason to wait.
Okay.
And so we went forward with it.
So it's a care package drive and a pasta dinner, which,
yes,
it's Italian, so we got to include pasta.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
You're collecting certain items like travel-size toiletries, sports-quality undergarments, hard or gummy candies.
They love those.
Really?
By the way. They will go crazy for those.
No kidding.
Because they don't get them out there.
And things like chocolate and all that doesn't travel as
Doesn't
well
travel
anyway.
well.
So if we can give them something that'll get there in the best shape, 100%.
Okay, DVDs and paperback books. And, of course, monetary donations for families.
Yes, so we're looking at this from a couple different fronts. So,
Okay.
People might say, we want to send them underwear. Oh, no, you want to send them underwear. And that sounds strange to the average listener.
No.
But here's the thing. Think about the hardest an athlete works. And then imagine you have to do that for 4 or 5 days in a row. You never change your boots. You never change a single piece of clothing. You need a sweat-wicking pair of socks at the end of that day.
Okay.
And people have to remember, too, they're both men and women serving out there. So we can use sports quality items for either gender.
Okay.
The same thing. We could use a travel-size Arm & Hammer. We can use a travel-size shampoo. These are things that, would really make a difference in their lives while they're out there. Their backpacks are 70 pounds without anything in them. So having a small little something is just perfect for them to try to clean up a little bit while they're out on the field.
Okay. So now you're going to collect all this stuff. Are you putting together the care packages, or are you sending out just a giant box to folks that are out there?
Oh, a giant box would certainly be easier. But so, what we're doing is from 10 o'clock in the morning to 9 p.m. that day, we are going to be collecting individual items. We'll be doing the assembling the care packages. We're sending to 7 different bases in South Korea right now and counting. We're hoping to get a couple more, but 7 different bases.
Okay.
So, we'll take care of that for everybody. We'll be the ones bringing it to the post office. They don't have to worry about that.
Right.
So, and anyone who comes in, even if you bring a single item, just one thing, we're going to give you a pasta dinner.
Okay.
And that's going to be served from 6 to 8 p.m. So everyone's going to get their plate of pasta, going to be able to do something good.
Mm-hmm.
And, it should just be a nice time.
And also raffle prizes?
Yes. We are raffling off a couple Red Sox memorabilia. Nothing too fancy, but some nice stuff. And then we have gift cards donated by several local businesses. So people will be able to enter for those different raffles that night.
Okay. Have you gotten stuff in advance? Can people give in advance? Or do they have to do it that on Saturday the 20th?
So we have had people arrange things before. So if people want to go on our Facebook for the Lodge OSIA 1646. So that's facebook.com/OSIA 1646. They can find our event page. Our contact information is on there. And they can call us. We can schedule anything. We're there all day Saturday. But if you can't make it, if you can only come in that Monday after, we can accommodate you.
Are these the most important things that people can give, or are these just the major suggestions?
These are easy examples, but there are things. If you want to write a letter or send a card, those are more than welcome. If you've ever wanted to thank a soldier but were never brave enough to go up to one of them, now's the time to write that letter and say something nice.
Sure.
This is absolutely not exclusive, and I really encourage people to reach out if they have any questions about what to bring.
Okay. And Erica is the wife of one of the soldiers?
Yes, she was not able to be here tonight, but she is the one who gave us the connections. We could not have done this without her. She absolutely really was a rock star getting this whole thing together.
And there's one thing that I'm going to highlight when I talk about Erica, money donations for soldiers' families, because one of the things, and it's great that we're getting all the the toiletries and the candies and the underwear and the socks and all that other stuff, but there's always the person back home.
Right. Yes, and that is why any monetary donations that people make will be going to the Hearts Apart Foundation. Which
What is it again?
Hearts Apart.
Okay.
So that is based out of Hanscom Air Force Base.
Okay, down in Bedford.
Yes, so what they do is they, different businesses sponsor events for the families. So they'll have a barbecue, they'll have raffle prizes, just anything to bring them together, help them out, make their lives a little bit better while their significant others, their fathers are deployed, mothers.
Sure. Fathers, mothers, husbands, wives,
even
aunts,
sons
uncles,
and daughters.
Sons and daughters, yeah. And I think a lot of times, I think it's great that we think of the soldiers, but a lot of times, I think sometimes the families are forgotten.
Yeah. 100%. It's not easy for anyone in that situation.
And especially if there's whether a dad, a mom, who's stationed overseas, and there's a little one at home, you miss some key points in life, and
100%.
And any help that we can give those families is also it's just a wonderful thing. Yeah. So, do you expect this to be a regular event for the lodge?
So we are, we're definitely starting out here. We've already learned a lot just by planning and going.
Such as?
Oh, just little things, who to contact, who to go about, who who's a reliable source. Things like that. We've had some really wonderful people that we never expected to come out of the woodwork help us out. And so, you're absolutely made a good point. We are hoping to do this biannually. So we're looking at September. Possibly during River Ruckus for a second one.
Okay.
And so hopefully from now on we'll have them in for Memorial Day like this one will be, and then have one in September. So twice a year we should be able to pull this together.
What other, you mentioned a little bit earlier about some of the things that you're trying to expand the reach of the lodge. What are some of the other things that you've got going on?
So actually on Sunday, May 21st, we have our annual Memorial Mass. Some people may have seen it if you lived between our lodge and All Saints Church. We march, the drum corps and the officers march behind them up to All Saints, and we do have a mass for their deceased members.
Okay.
And we march back through Lafayette Square, and then we play in front of our lodge. So that's happening on Sunday.
And that's something that really is for all Italian Americans. That's our, every immigrant group has had that. The people who came before them, who made a better life for the people who came after them. And we're honoring all of those when we have this mass. So anyone is absolutely welcome to come on out and march with us if they'd be interested.
Okay, so that's coming up the day after.
Yes.
Anything else through the summer?
So there's not much going on through the summer. There is some planning that is going on. I'll be able to speak a little bit of this. I don't want to speak too much because I don't have many details. But we are working on a cook-off. With other lodges, other Sons of Italy's, and we're hoping to come back and we'll really explain that one because that one's going to be fun.
What sort of cook-off are we talking
about? So it's to be Italian, and that's probably all I can say right at this point.
Yeah, you have to trust us that there's some big names involved.
But
very interesting things coming up. But we'll make sure everyone knows when the time comes.
Absolutely. So again, the Gratitude and Service Care Package Drive Pasta Dinner, taking place Saturday, May 20th. Dinners from 6 to 8 over at the Purple Building
Yes, the purple building. But we'll be there all day to take in whatever you guys want to give us.
124 Washington Street. If you just tuned in, it's because, you picked
I picked it out. I picked it out.
This one right here.
124 Washington Street. Numbers, information, websites. Feel free to wrap it up with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our Facebook once again, which is facebook.com/OSIA1646.
Okay.
So OSIA1646.
And phone numbers for...
Yes, so the primary contact would probably be easiest just to give mine.
Sure.
So you're all welcome to call me at 978-766-3234. So Nicholas Thompson, 978-766-3234, and I'd be happy to answer any and all questions. Anyone who wants to contribute, help out, please don't hesitate.
All right. Nick, Anthony, thanks for stopping by.
Can I just say one quick thing?
No, you can't. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a
we have drum corps practice. If anybody would like to join, it is on Monday nights starting at 8 o'clock.
Now,
So
back up a second. We got a few minutes. Drum
Okay.
corps. Explain what drum corps is, because there's a lot of different types of drums.
we are so that's actually a good point. We are a parade corps. So we do not do a field show.
Okay.
We do all our drilling, as you probably have seen in the Haverhill Christmas Parade, on the street.
Mhm.
So we go from 4s to 1s to 2s. We do a thing called a crisscross where we all get off and we split and then we cross each other. And so we do a lot of drills. And then we also play music. We play Italian songs and then also patriotic songs.
Okay.
So you've obviously seen us at the Haverhill Christmas Parade, Haverhill Memorial Day Parade, Veterans Day Parade. We actually are the only band in Haverhill. It used to be the old Colonial Band. They no longer exist. That was a while ago, but they no longer exist either. So we're the only band besides Haverhill High School, but we're the only professional band.
Okay.
Marching
So,
band.
Drum corps, again, the date?
It's on every Monday night.
Every Monday night.
From 7 to 7:30 to about 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
find us.
come on down.
And all you have to do is listen, because if you guys are out back,
yes,
you hear it across the river.
Yes.
So definitely just follow the sound to or the purple building.
Or the purple
Exactly.
Or the purple building. Thanks again, guys, for coming
Thanks,
in.
Mark.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
All right. We're going to take a quick time out for news. Back on the other side, we'll open the phone lines, see your comments and conversation coming up here on HAV.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 8 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening in local news. For more than a decade, Mayor James J. Fiorentini has devoted unflagging determination and effort to transform an abandoned rail line into a riverside promenade, according to city councilors. As the pieces of his dream come together, councilors are preparing to honor the mayor's dedication by naming the rail trail in his honor. Councilor William Masick is presenting an order asking his colleagues to rename the Bradford Rail Trail for Fiorentini. The full order states that the full length of the Bradford Rail Trail on the southerly side of the Merrimack River from the Basilia Bridge to the Como Bridge, currently existing or contemplated in the future, shall be dedicated and named as the Mayor James J. Fiorentini Bradford Rail Trail. In Fiorentini's 2010 State of the City address, the mayor said he looked forward to the day our children and grandchildren will be able to walk along our own string of parks and walkways along the river. And we will never forget the river. Our greatest asset belongs to all of us. Since raising the idea of the Riverside Trail, the mayor has worked with volunteers, local and state politicians, business owners, service organizations, and the school department to find ways to buy, clear, construct, and beautify the trail, bit by bit and piece by piece. The City Council meets Tuesday, May 16th, beginning at 7 o'clock in the Theodore A. Pelosi Council Chambers on the second floor of City Hall. There were many emotions expressed by past players and coaches as Haverhill High School inaugurated its Athletic Hall of Fame Saturday night. One inductee who reflected on the whole range of emotions was Major League Baseball player Carlos Pena, a 1995 graduate who went on to play professional baseball 14 years. He discussed his first days in Haverhill after emigrating with his family from the Dominican Republic.
We get embraced by this beautiful community that make us feel so much at home, so much like a family, that we just could not believe it. The same feeling I got when I walked through those doors right now. We got overwhelmed by love.
Pena retired in 2014 after 14 seasons and a career of 286 home runs. Before baseball, he tried track and swimming. To cheers of laughter, he humorously referred to another little-known record of his at Haverhill High.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a record. I'm the only swim team member in the history of Haverhill High School who never wore a Speedo. Never. I wore my baggies, man. My baggies. The whole time.
Pena, now at ESPN, said he did not excel at track or swimming, but he learned valuable lessons.
And eventually I went on to play professional baseball, and that was an amazing journey. And let me tell you, many times it was extremely difficult. It's like you drift so far away from home, chasing this dream. And it's hard, and you're on your own out there. And everything that you take is just these experiences, these interactions that we had when we were young that prepared me for those moments.
WHAV broadcast the ceremonies live over 97.9 FM with 25-year veteran sports writer Hector Longo from the New Hunking School. Most of the 11 inductees came from out of town with their families, and athletic director Thomas O'Brien brought them up to speed.
Football team this past year went undefeated in the conference, won the conference championship, and was ranked number 3 in the state at one point during the year. So Hilly football's back for sure.
O'Brien said he's been most pleased by increased participation in the school's athletic programs. Some moving moments came during the induction of 60-year coach and athletic director John Ottaviani. Beginning at Haverhill High School in 1963 as a physical education instructor, Coach O credited others with helping him when the sports program was endangered by budget cuts related to the tax-cutting measure Proposition 2.5.
I also had a right-hand man named Dante Gobi Sr. Dante was my right-hand man. When we ran the cow chip contest when I was AD, we made $36,000 on it on a Friday night, waiting for the cow to do what it didn't do. We had to pull the name out of a hat.
The induction ceremony featured announcer John McCauley as Master of Ceremonies. Besides Pena and Ottaviani, 9 others were inducted. A full list is at WHAV.net. WHAV will rebroadcast highlights of the ceremony in the near future. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net. In the Edwin B. Johnson newsroom, this is Tim Coco.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. North Korea claims its new missile is capable of carrying a nuclear warhead and that it may be able to target the U.S. mainland. The U.S. State Department is accusing the regime of Bashar al-Assad of building a crematorium to cover up the evidence of war crimes at a military prison. And on his first full day in the job, new French President Emmanuel Macron has named his prime minister.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with Wave Weather. It'll become partly cloudy to clear through the night around the Merrimack Valley. Low temperature 45 to 50. Great day shaping up on Tuesday. Sunshine and blue skies with a few passing clouds. Breezy, warmer, mid-70s. Fair weather at night, low 50s. And mostly sunny and warm Wednesday, 80 to 85. Close to 90 on Thursday. This is Gary Best. You're next to Wave Weather in 30 minutes.
97.9 WHAV is the only FM station assigned to the city of Haverhill. Your membership is critical to continued operation. It's easy to join. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net. 97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents The Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
You know, I always feel like Dave Letterman filling in for Johnny Carson when I fill in on the open mic because, I'm filling in for Tim Coco. Hi, it's Marc Lemay. We're here for another half hour. Open lines if you want to talk. 978-374-1900. Did I get that right? See, because when I do my show on Fridays, we don't do phone calls, so I don't normally say the phone number. So 978-374-1900 if you'd like to chime in. Big thanks to Russ Conway tonight for joining me, and also the guys from the Sons of Italy Lodge downtown, the Purple Building. I never really thought about it until they mentioned it, that the building is, purple. So love talking racing with Russ Conway and Ken Smith. They've got some backstories. They've got some great stories from days gone by, and I don't think there's a thing that Russ and Ken haven't been involved in. And for those of you that want to attend, the wake is Tuesday, June 6th, 2 to 4 and 5 to 8 at Paul C. Rogers Family Funeral Home on Main Street in Haverhill. And a celebration of life taking place on Wednesday, June 7th between 4 to 8 over at DeBarros in Ward Hill. If instead of giving flowers, contributions in Ken's honor may be made to the Emmaus House in Haverhill, the Kendall Craig Smith Scholarship Fund at Haverhill High School, the Northeast Motorsports Museum, which right now is in Ipswich, but in about a month or so it's going to be up in Loudon, New Hampshire. The Northern Essex Community College Foundation over at NECC in Haverhill. The Pines Speedway Reunion, which I'm going to brag about that in just a minute. The Pines Speedway Reunion in Groveland, or the Rotary Club of Haverhill. I mentioned this with Russ in the beginning of the interview. The Pines Speedway Reunion, it's one of those things that you go to hear the stories. You go to sit in the background. If you are a racing fan, you go to just sit in the shadows, so to speak, and listen to some of these old-time racers tell their stories. And some of them, it's almost like talking to a fisherman. You know, I caught one this big. Well, the stories get bigger and bigger every year. And they put up this giant board under a tent of all the stories that were written about the Pines Speedway and all the drivers that were part of the history of the Pines Speedway. And I told the story when I went with my son one year, and they had the blessing of the cars, and some of the cars, man, there's more rust on them than paint, but by golly, they look good. And some of the cars are well restored and could probably race a couple laps today. They had the blessing of the cars, and they said, drivers, start your engines, which is the magical words in racing. And I kid you not, the pebbles on the ground vibrated. They were dancing. They were like little jumping beans on the ground. And the rumble and the sound that just echoed across the river was just, the best way I could describe it is awesome. And so usually, I believe, if I recall right, the reunion takes place in October. Last year or the year before, it was a poor, miserable, kind of misty, cloudy, rainy, yicky day, but it didn't deter all these old-time drivers to come out and share some great stories about the good old days. And I look around, and apparently there's a part of you could still see part of the backstretch, I guess, at the Pines complex, which is now ball fields and playgrounds and what have you. And it's great that they're using it. And unfortunately, we lose a little bit of racing history. But as we heard from Russ, the New England Motorsports Museum is opening up next month up in Loudon, New Hampshire, right next to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So all the history of New England motorsports, Northeast motorsports, I should say, will be in one place, and it sounds like it's going to be a great facility. Again, Russ and I were talking off air about I grew up down in Fall River, and my local track was Seekonk Speedway, which is going strong, right on Route 6 on the Seekonk-Providence line, East Providence line. And they still do figure 8 races. They still do, demolition derbies. And it's a heck of a take. If you don't want to go south, please go north and support the folks up at Lee USA Speedway. Red and his wife have owned that track for some time now. You get to hear a great voice in Spider Spence, John Spence, who did some radio here in the Merrimack Valley, did a show here on HAV as well. Well, not here on HAV, but here on HAV. You know what I mean. Pete Falcone, radio guy, racing guy. Pete owns a couple stations in and around the region. Racing family there as well, and that's at Lee USA Speedway on Friday nights. On Saturday nights, a couple miles down the road, it's Star Speedway, which again has that old air to it of a heck of a Saturday night. Tickets are cheap. I'm not trying to plug the racing industry in New England, but it's a great take. And one of the things about racing and about NASCAR, but we'll keep it local. Between heats or between races or between the trials or whatever, 9 times out of 10, the drivers will come out, they'll park their cars on the track, and the fans can actually go down and meet the drivers that they're about to see race. And even some of the most rookie drivers will have autograph cards. And if you've got a little kid or if you've got a big kid, you go down the track, they'll take pictures, they'll sign autographs, and most of the time, you don't know this driver from a hole in the wall. He's some 18, 19-year-old kid. But one of the things I always tell people is you never know if you're going to see a Dale Earnhardt Jr., a Tony Stewart, a Jimmy Johnson in the making at Lee USA Speedway or at a Star Speedway. You just never know that someday you might be sitting on this autograph because NASCAR is doing better at using tracks like Lee USA Speedway and Star Speedway and to find the next generation NASCAR driver, whether it's the Truck Series or the Busch Series. NASCAR is getting better at that. And to bring it to the bigs, NASCAR drivers are the most courteous people on the planet. They will sign anything. They will stay outside their hauler, signing whatever it is. Most of them have Sharpies on them, and they'll sit in front of them, and they won't ask questions. There's no egos. There's no attitude. They love the fans. They love the fact that they come out. And one of the things, to get into marketing a little bit, there's always fan loyalty is brand loyalty. I'm not going to plug any particular brands, but usually the driver you support is the product you support because the product is supporting your driver. NASCAR is great. Motorsports is great. It was outstanding to have Russ Conway on the show. I got to have him back because the history that he has, you could write 10 books and you wouldn't have enough of it. Quick timeout. Be back on the other side. We're going to wrap things up for the evening here on the Open Mic on WHAV.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Are you listening to WHAV on cable television? If so, join WHAV in thanking the board, staff, and members of your local public access channel.
Catch the wave!
Every Monday night, the Open Mic Show brings you fascinating guests, explores local history, and gives you a chance to praise the powers that be or vent your frustrations. I'm Tim Coco, your host. inviting you to join the chorus of community voices beginning at 6:30 Monday nights right here on 97.9 WHAV. You may also watch this staple of democracy live at WHAV.tv.
Community Spotlight.
If you have questions about Medicare options and benefits, Shine, serving the health insurance needs of everyone, may provide answers. Shine is a source of free, accurate, and unbiased information regarding health insurance and healthcare options. In Haverhill, the program is administered by the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs in partnership with the Haverhill Council on Aging, 10 Welcome Street. Appointments with a certified Shine counselor may be made by calling Wendy at 978-374-2390, extension 19. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email news@WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Diane Carr.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And we're back on WHAV. It's the Open Mic. Tim Coco is on assignment tonight. You got me. You're stuck with me for the next 10 minutes. Sorry, folks. Couple things. Actually, shop talk for Chris over in the booth. If you ever want to see something really interesting, look up WABC jingles on YouTube. And you too, listeners and viewers, you will hear something very familiar. And the jingle package, the music that you hear, with IDs and all that other stuff, is the same jingle package that is used by WABC in New York. And it's odd to hear somebody else's call letters on my jingle package. So if you want to do a little radio geek thing, check it out. Coming up this week on my show, I might as well use Tim's show to promote my show. Your Hometown, 6:30 Friday nights here on WHAV. One of my favorite guests, and one of the great people that I got to work with in the past, former Aaron, joins me for the entire hour to talk a little bit about politics, a little bit about community service, and a little bit about that thing called the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce that he's involved with as Membership Services Director. I think I got his title right. We're talking about Chambers of Commerce, talking a little bit. John's a great guy, a great interview. 6:30 Friday night here on HAV. I also have to say, happy birthday, happy 21st birthday to Dahlia and Alberto. No, it's not their birthday. Dahlia Diaz and Alberto Surias are the publishers of Rumbo. Rumbo, for those of us who don't know, is a bilingual newspaper covering the Merrimack Valley. And today is their 21st birthday. Alberto doesn't look a day over 20. Dahlia, 18 at most. The paper's been around for 21 years. And when I tell you they are the two hardest working people in show business, I kid you not. Dahlia is the layout person. She's a reporter. Alberto is a photographer and the distribution person. He's also the salesperson. They really work hard every week to put out their newspaper. And I would be remiss, and both two very good friends of mine, I would be remiss if I didn't say happy birthday, you two crazy kids, for putting out a newspaper 1 years pretty much by themselves. So happy birthday to Rumbo, a great local resource, local media here in the Merrimack Valley. And that brings me to probably what will be my final rant of the evening, supporting local radio. What Chris and I are volunteers. We don't get paid for this. Frank and Diane and the whole crew, and we don't get paid to do this. We enjoy doing it. Is it? Well, yeah, okay. We sort of enjoy doing it anyway. But it's taken to put this on the air. And Tim, I'm going to toot his horn for a second because Tim has done a heck of a job prior to getting this FM license of keeping local radio alive. And he did it on the internet for a while. And lo and behold, confession time, I'm kind of jealous of Tim. He got his dream. He doesn't own this station. Nobody owns a radio station. The FCC gives you a license to broadcast, and they can pull that license whenever they want. They typically don't. You really have to screw up to lose an FCC license. However, for the lack of a better term, Tim is the volunteer general manager, which, yes, volunteer means he doesn't get paid. If you like what you hear on HAV, we ask for donations from individuals. Every little bit counts, keeps the lights up and running. Got to feed the hamsters inside the transmitter shack that run the transmitter and keeps the signal going. You know, I was listening the other day. You can catch us up to Exit 2 on Route 93 in Salem, New Hampshire. You can catch us as far south as Wilmington. I got us out towards Salisbury and Hampton, and over to Dracut. That's a big coverage area for a local radio station. We actually have a better coverage area than the original WHAV on the AM dial. For businesses, you know, one of the biggest complaints during my first run at HAV, so many years ago, was that people complained that they lost their radio station when HAV changed formats, the original HAV formats. I would argue that Haverhill didn't lose its radio station. Haverhill gave up its radio station. I know firsthand that the former owner of WHAV tried. But every time one of our salespeople walked into a business, they'd get the door slammed in their face. And back then, I actually got paid to do this. You know, a very small amount of money, but I got paid to do this. And to pay people, you need sponsors. In this case, here at HAV, we're a nonprofit operation. We call them underwriters. You would be surprised how little it costs to support local programming here on WHAV. Individuals can donate. It is a tax-deductible donation. And I don't necessarily understand the specifics of what it means for a business, but you get underwriting announcements, which means you are a supporter of WHAV. And by golly, we could use your help. It takes money to keep the lights on. It takes money to pay for the internet. It takes money to run electricity at the transmitter. And we could use your help. If you would like to support us, we'd appreciate it. Give us a call during regular business hours. Visit our website. Speaking of the website, what we do on the radio is a little bit different than what we do on the website. We've got something like 9 million hits to our website. You know what that means? That's a lot of eyeballs seeing your ad on the website, in the newsletter that goes out every day. It's truly an amazing operation that Tim is running here at the station. And again, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not getting paid to do the show. I'm not getting paid to hype it up. I just think it's a wonderful thing, and I don't want to see the community lose the valuable resource that it already lost one time prior because of a lack of support. So visit the website, whav.net. Check things out. Give us a call here at the station during regular business hours. One of our account executives, I don't know if we can even call them account executives because it's a nonprofit thing. We'll call them marketing weasels. Give one of them a call, and they'll be able to. Nah, I'm kidding. No, give them a call and support us and support what we do here at WHAV. Folks like Albie Dees, folks like Greater Lawrence Family Health Center, Haverhill Bank. I have to say that, and I have to put it an asterisk behind. I'm employed by Greater Lawrence Family Health Center, so there's that conflict of way. Haverhill Bank, the folks who supported Northern Essex Community College, that supported the replays of some of our programming, the folks who supported this weekend's broadcast from the Hunking. It's getting better and better every day. We're trying to do a heck of a job for you. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching, and we're going to try to keep things going as long as possible. Special thanks to Chris and I I'm going to be rude for a moment. What's the young lady's name again? Well, thank you so much. You can key up the mic. What's it?
Hi, it's Cindy.
Hi. What's your name again?
Cindy.
Cindy, thank you so much. You did all the work. I know Chris takes the glory, but I know you did all the work. And you made me look good with cameras. So
yes.
That was amazing. Thank you to both of you in the booth for helping out tonight. Thank you for putting up with me, folks. Again, my show, Friday nights, 6:30, your hometown. This week's guest is John Guerin. Until then, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time.
Open mic!
Join Tim Coco live on the Open Mic again next Monday night at 6:30. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic show are not necessarily those of WHAV, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.
It's 8:29.
Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave!
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays, keep up to date with exclusive local news. Find out more